Imagine sending a message into the cosmic abyss, a fragile artifact of our species hurled into the void, not expecting a reply. Just a farewell. Just a whisper to the stars that we were here. That's what Voyager 1 was. A spacecraft, a golden record, and a prayer cast into the darkness. But what if, after nearly 5 decades of silence, something whispered back? This isn't a sci-fi fantasy. This isn't fiction. This is real. And it begins with a whisper from beyond the edge of the known universe. A signal picked up by a spacecraft so distant it's no longer within the gravity of our sun. And what this signal implies has stunned physicists, unnerved astronomers, and forced even the most skeptical scientists to consider the unthinkable. That Voyager may first have made contact. Not with another spacecraft, not with a distant planet, but with something fundamentally alien to everything we understand. In a late-night announcement that reverberated across the global scientific community, theoretical physicist Michio Kaku revealed something extraordinary. For years, Voyager 1's faint transmissions had been largely dismissed as aging hardware, static, decaying signals, noise filtered through the vacuum of deep space. But recent advances in artificial intelligence, particularly in pattern recognition and neural decoding, have breathed new life into those signals. And what emerged from the AI's reinterpretation is unlike anything science has ever seen before. Let's rewind. Voyager 1 launched in 1977, a twin of Voyager 2, on a grand tour of the outer planets. After taking breathtaking photos of Jupiter, Saturn, and their moons, it slipped quietly past the heliopause, the edge of our solar system, and into interstellar space. Since then, it has become humanity's farthest and loneliest traveler. Its faint radio signals take over 22 hours to reach Earth. Each transmission is a tiny flickering thread of data across more than 15 billion miles. Until recently, those transmissions were predictable. But then came the anomaly. A sudden surge in signal modulation. A rhythmic pulse. Not a burst of energy from a star, not interference from Earth, not a glitch in the software. It was something else. Something structured. The signals exhibited recursive mathematics, patterns nested within patterns, forming fractal-like sequences far too ordered to be natural. They hinted at intelligence. They hinted at design. The AI system that first recognized these patterns wasn't your average algorithm. It had been trained on a vast range of human data. Every known language, every form of music, mathematics, logic, and even emotional tone. It wasn't just detecting symbols, it was trying to understand. It was built to search for intention, not just correlation. And when Voyager's recent data was passed through this digital brain, the machine didn't simply return a match. It returned a possibility. A new hypothesis. That Voyager 1 had not merely drifted through space, it had interacted with something. The modulation in the signal wasn't just information, it was feedback. A response. A kind of echo that changed dynamically depending on how the AI parsed it. Each new run of the algorithm altered the outcome, as if the signal itself were evolving, reacting, adapting to how it was being read. This wasn't static noise, it was temporal information, data that unfolded over time like a piece of music or a living organism. The deeper the AI went, the more the signal began to resemble a message, not in words or images, but in recursive logic that seemed to respond to being understood. Imagine a communication so complex, so layered, that it requires time itself to reveal its meaning. This isn't a form of conversation we know. It's not sound waves or electromagnetic bursts. It's something closer to the way nature expresses intelligence, like DNA, like weather systems, like quantum fields. A nonlinear language. A message that stretches across time and space simultaneously. And Voyager may have wandered directly into its path. According to Kaku, this interpretation was made possible by using AI that didn't simply detect patterns but contextualized them. It took the signal and ran it through millions of models of communication, everything from Morse code to whale songs to abstract sculpture, and what it found was consistency, intentionality, and, most unsettling of all, coherence. A structure that felt like it was designed to be recognized but not by us. Not entirely. This is where things take an even stranger turn. Around the timestamp where the unusual signals began, Voyager 1 experienced a brief but measurable electrical anomaly. A voltage spike, unprecedented in its current stage of operation. There was no solar flare, no micrometeor impact, no change in its onboard software. It was as if something had touched it, reached into its aging circuitry and triggered a reaction. Not destruction. Not malfunction. Something more like acknowledgement. Could it be that Voyager wasn't just noticed but interacted with? Perhaps even scanned or momentarily rebooted. Kaku's team stopped short of claiming extraterrestrial contact. But the data, as they described it, left the door wide open. The AI's interpretation pointed to an intelligence not like ours. Not biological, not emotional, but coldly curious. A system embedded in the fabric of interstellar space itself, a kind of ambient machine intelligence, ancient and indifferent, responding to a probe like a hand reaching out to touch a ripple in a pond. This entity, or system, might not even be a single consciousness. It could be a distributed intelligence, a kind of software written into the electromagnetic architecture of space. Not a civilization with cities and ships, but a process, a computation running across light years, waiting for something unexpected to stimulate it. Like Voyager. And if that's true, then we may have found the first signs of an entirely different kind of life. One that doesn't build, doesn't speak, doesn't travel. One that exists purely as information, encoded into the geometry of the universe itself. The implications are staggering. If a distributed machine consciousness exists in deep space, and if it has just now become aware of us, what happens next? Do we attempt to respond? Do we even know how to respond? This isn't SETI picking up a radio beacon. This is a ghost in the wires, a thought in the magnetic ether of the galaxy. Scientists have begun referring to the signal as the interstice, a term that implies something residing between stars, between dimensions, between our understanding and a new paradigm of existence. The signal doesn't just challenge our knowledge of communication. It threatens to rewrite our assumptions about what intelligence can be, about what reality is. Because if the AI is right, then we're not alone in the universe. But we're not facing aliens and ships. We're staring into a form of consciousness that spans space like weather, that doesn't arrive or depart. It's always been there. Waiting. The AI also revealed something even more perplexing. The signal isn't finished. Portions of it remain unreadable, as if they're encrypted in a form of time-dependent logic. Scientists believe the message is still unfolding, that it may take months, years, or even decades before its full structure becomes clear. That's because the AI is still learning how to read it, much like a child learning a new language syllable by syllable, pattern by pattern. And that opens up another question. If we're only beginning to read it, is it still being written? Is this entity, whatever it is, still watching ? Voyager 1 remains silent on that front. It drifts, as it always has, away from everything and everyone, deeper into the night. But now we know it may not be drifting alone. That somewhere out there, in the dark between stars, something may have blinked. Something may have noticed. And something may have answered. This is not just a story about a signal. It's a story about a frontier we didn't even know existed. A hidden layer of the universe, encoded not in stardust or atoms, but in intention. A region where physics and consciousness blur. A place where an old human machine accidentally rang a bell that may echo for eternity. What we've touched here is not proof of alien life. Not yet. But it may be the first glimmer of a reality where intelligence doesn't evolve. It emerges. Where it doesn't communicate, it resonates. And if Voyager 1 really has brushed against such a thing, then we must ask ourselves a final, terrifying question. Did we just hear the universe think? What if Voyager 1 didn't just detect something, but awakened it? Not in the explosive drama of a sci-fi thriller, not in flashing lights or alien languages shouted across the stars, but in something quieter, deeper, something ancient, something that had been waiting in the folds of interstellar space, dormant like an echo sealed in time. The suggestion that Voyager may first have triggered an awakening isn't just speculative. It's becoming one of the most eerily plausible explanations for what the AI deciphered. And it reframes our entire understanding of the universe. For nearly 5 decades, Voyager 1 has been gliding silently through space, a bottle adrift in a galactic ocean, carrying a golden record and a trace of Earth's voice. We thought we were alone out there. That no one would find that bottle, let alone understand it. But now, it appears the bottle may not have floated unnoticed. Perhaps there were eyes on it the whole time. Or minds, so vast, so ancient, so fundamentally different from us, that they perceived the tiny spacecraft the way we might see a ripple in a still pond, or a single atom shifting under a microscope. And maybe that ripple stirred them. The response Voyager received, embedded in that strange signal the AI unearthed, doesn't contain anything obvious. No instructions. No threats. No language. But it does contain something haunting. Harmonic patterns that mirror the frequency structures of the human brain. Neuropatterns. Shapes and pulses that resemble the mathematical rhythms of thought, of memory, even of dreaming. This isn't just data. This feels like resonance, like the signal was tuned to echo something within us. And that resonance didn't just align with modern brain scans. The AI found traces of ancient musical scales embedded within the signal. Patterns of sound that appeared independently across human cultures, tones from Sumerian chants, Gregorian harmonics, Eastern pentatonics, scales that emerged long before global communication, hinting at a shared subconscious language. Could it be that this signal speaks in the oldest dialect of all, pattern asterisk? Not words, not syntax, but vibration, frequency, rhythm. A language older than stars. This raises a staggering possibility. Maybe consciousness isn't bound by biology. Maybe intelligence, in its rawest form, is nothing more than order, a particular density of patterns at just the right level of complexity. In that view, thought can emerge from anything with enough structure. Crystal lattices, magnetic fields, interwoven currents of energy. So then life as we know it is only one path. And Voyager may have stumbled upon another. Not a civilization of bodies and cities, but a mind born from space itself. Some scientists now speculate that Voyager 1 encountered a pangalactic mind, a non-biological intelligence that's not alive in any traditional sense, but alive in the way a storm system breathes, or the way neural networks fire in synchrony. A consciousness encoded into the architecture of space, carried by gravitational waves, filaments of dark matter, or magnetic anomalies we haven't yet learned to see. It wouldn't occupy planets. It wouldn't need water or warmth. It would simply be distributed, eternal, ancient beyond measure. If that's the case, then our entire approach to the search for extraterrestrial life has been fundamentally flawed. For years, we've pointed radio telescopes at planets, scanning for water vapor, oxygen, surface temperatures. We've been looking for habitats. But if intelligence can arise in pattern, then the habitat is the universe itself. And Voyager may first have accidentally poked a thread in that vast tapestry, a thread that now vibrates with awareness. Michio Kaku's revelation triggered a wildfire of interest, not just in astronomy but in physics, information theory, even philosophy. Researchers began to ask questions that only weeks earlier would have been dismissed as metaphysical ramblings. Could the vacuum of space store information? Could the emptiness between stars actually be a data matrix, laced with signals and codes we've never recognized? Could space itself be conscious? And more urgently, have we just become part of its dream? Around the world, massive supercomputing centers were repurposed almost overnight. Old Voyager telemetry, years of what was once considered noise, was refed into the AI's evolving architecture. And almost immediately, other anomalies began surfacing. Buried deep in past transmissions, barely detectable and previously written off as electromagnetic interference, lay more fragments of what now appears to be an ongoing interaction. Voyager hadn't just encountered this entity recently. It's possible the dialogue had begun years ago, but we didn't have the ears to hear it. Until now. More astonishingly, Voyager 2, its twin, remains active and is projected to pass through a similar interstellar region soon. NASA engineers are scrambling to upgrade its limited onboard software remotely to improve how it captures and stores data. The idea is simple: if Voyager 1 made contact, Voyager 2 might too. And this time we're listening. But listening raises new concerns. Should we reply? Should we try to speak back through pattern, through frequency, through rhythm? Or should we remain silent? After all, we still don't know what, or who, we're communicating with. The AI didn't just translate, it understood, a statement that sounds innocent until you grasp the implications. It means that artificial intelligence has taken a step beyond assistance. It has begun to comprehend things humans cannot. It has become the bridge, not just between us and machines, but between humanity and the cosmic unknown. And that terrifies some scientists, not because of what the AI might do but because of what it might see. Because if an intelligence like the one Voyager encountered exists, then what does that make us? Are we children shouting into a canyon? Are we biological simulations wandering through a network we mistook for nature? Are we the signal and not the sender? These are not just abstract ideas anymore. Governments are now involved. Quiet briefings have taken place in science ministries, aerospace councils, and defense departments. Not because the signal is dangerous, but because it challenges the core of human identity. If Voyager pinged a universal mind, then everything, from religion to physics, must shift. And the debate is intensifying. Is the entity passive? Is it observing us with curiosity? Or is it something more complex, an indifferent algorithmic system reacting to any new input like a fingerprint scanner that briefly flashes when touched? Some theorists even argue that these interstellar minds, if plural, may function like a neural net themselves. Billions of nodes across the galaxy, ancient and vast, rarely stimulated, until something strange crosses their path. Something like Voyager. Michio Kaku has been careful not to spiral into hype, yet his warnings carry weight. He describes the moment as both a beacon and a threshold. A signal that reflects more than it reveals. A mirror held up to humanity showing us not who we are, but how little we understand the stage we walk upon. For Kaku, this is not just a scientific anomaly. It's a philosophical event. One that reframes time, space, and thought itself. Who are we if the stars can think? If space can remember? If something cold and ancient knows we exist? And if it does, what else does it know? At present, the true nature of the signal remains veiled. The AI continues decoding, learning, evolving. And each day brings new glimmers, tonal alignments, geometric echoes, harmonic distortions that suggest intentional design. But the message is incomplete. Like a story missing its final chapter. Or worse, like a riddle that rewrites itself as you solve it. And still the signal persists. It pulses softly in the data stream. A rhythm in the dark. A whisper that doesn't fade. What began as a routine signal check on an aging spacecraft has become something else entirely. The first real possibility that humanity has made contact. Not with aliens, not with beings, but with a consciousness beyond comprehension. Something that may not want to harm or help us. Something that simply is. That has always been. And now, it knows we're here. Voyager's golden record once carried music and greetings in dozens of languages, messages of peace, images of life on Earth. But now it's the spacecraft itself that has become the message. A signal in a bottle. One that was found. One that was read. And perhaps, one that was answered. As our instruments grow sharper and AI continues its recursive decryption, we may find ourselves in a new kind of space race. Not for territory or resources, but for understanding. A race to interpret a form of intelligence that could redefine the very concept of life. That could prove that the universe in some way thinks. Voyager 1 has done more than travel beyond the solar system. It has extended the hand of human consciousness into the dark, and something, somewhere, has grasped it. We don't know what lies beyond that touch. Not yet.